Hi, my name is Camilla, as I hope and think you perhaps know by now. I'm happy that you tune in for this episode, which is going to be about the Yamas and the Niyamas. It's time for the second of the Yamas, and it will be focusing on truth or truthfulness, as the second of the Yamas, Satya, is translated into in English. As always, you can either plug me into your ears and go for a walk, or maybe you have made yourself a cup of coffee, tea, and just sit down and listen. So, as said, today about Satya. Feel free to go back to the episode, I think it was the third episode, which was about ahimsa, because ahimsa, non-violence, is the foundation. And if we don't have ahimsa, the non-violence, as our foundation, then it's hard to add on satya to it, truthfulness. So they go hand in hand, or you can see ahimsa as said as the foundation to which you want to be building more things. But if the ahimsa, the foundation, isn't there, if it isn't steady enough, then this is not going to be a good addition. So we always need to make sure that the foundation with ahimsa is there, and then we can add on. And adding on with this, as said, about truthfulness, is not a very easy one, because it's so much more than simply not telling lies. This is pretty much how my book looks. So I'm going to share some of the highlighted sections, some of the post-it notes that I have been putting in the book over the years as I've been teaching this and making it as themes in my classes. But as said, let's dive into it. Truthfulness is, as said, a lot more than just not telling lies. But let's go back to think about, why is it that we actually do tell lies? Think back about yourself. When was the last time you told a lie? And why did you do that? Do you have an answer? My feeling, perhaps about my own lies or so on, most of the time it's coming out of two things. Either that I'm afraid that the truth, the answer, is going to hurt the person, or sometimes that I'm not really, well, partly that I'm like a bit ashamed perhaps of the truth, that I'm afraid that if I do tell the truth that I'm not going to be part of a community, part of the group or so anymore. So telling lies, the way I see it, is either to make sure to not hurt another person, or to kind of cover up for something that you've done and that you perhaps are not so proud of, or so. A lie would make no sense unless the truth was felt to be dangerous. Unless the truth was felt to be dangerous. Are we afraid to hurt someone's feelings, or afraid if we told the truth we would not be liked or admired anymore? And I think often that is the case. This is why we often do tell lies. And so we can think about it from a few different perspectives. In the book they call it, or she calls it, to be real rather than nice. Nice people. We've always, or most of us have met nice people. Nice people who never say anything hurtful, or never do anything that could be seen as unpleasant or unkind. And sure, nice is nice to be. But sometimes with nice people, you kind of feel that they're like holding everything inside. That they are a bit greasy is the word that comes to mind, which is perhaps a bad word. But it feels like they're not real, right? One doesn't really feel comfortable with the truth that they are delivering, because is it really honest? Is it really the truth? Or are they just saying these things to be nice? Of course, real can also be quite harsh. If we are real without having, again, the foundation from ahimsa, then sometimes when we are real, we can become really nasty and vicious because we're just delivering the truth. So we need to use that background, that foundation of ahimsa, the non-violence, when we are real. How can we be real and at the same time be kind, to not be violent in our way of delivering the truth? And real, though not always pleasant, it's trustworthy. We all, I hope, have a few people in our lives that we know that they are always real, they are always trustworthy, and if you ask them for their opinion, you might not like what they are saying, but they are honest. They are sincere in what they say, and you know that they will not bullshit you. They are real. So what is it that is driving you to distort yourself or silence yourself or say yes when you mean no? What is it indeed that is so dangerous in the moment about the truth that you are choosing to lie? And as it says here also, there's so many good passages. I'm trying to not just read from the book. But when we habitually silence and distort ourselves, we begin to lose our lust for life. We forget that we are here on this earth to self-express in a way no one else ever has or ever could. It's going back to this old expression about you are the only person who can be you. Everyone else is already taken. So finding that self-expression is the hard part. Because as humans we have this, what's the word? We have this struggle between wanting to belong and our need to grow. We have this, as humans, we have this need, necessity. It's for our survival, especially in way back when, to belong to groups, to belong to a society, to belong to a country. We have all these groups that we belong to, and being part of a group, belonging, is often connected with various rules and regulations, even if they are not always written down, but you kind of know what you need to do to still be part of the group. And it's really, really, really hard to sometimes break out of that group. But sometimes our need to grow as humans makes us end up in that tricky situation where we realize that we've kind of outgrown the group that we have belonged to for such a long time, and we need to make the decision. Do I still want to belong to this group, or do I want to continue to grow and potentially actually leave this group? And that's a hard decision that we sometimes need to face. But it is when we don't face those things that we also begin to use an expression from back home, that we put the lid on, that we kind of try to contain ourselves. We try to contain ourselves to still stay in the group, to have the approval of the group and to have the security of the group perhaps. But while doing that, while staying contained, we also kind of bury our lust for life, which is not going to be a good solution in the long run. So we have this need of both belonging and the need to expand and grow. Okay. So hard to make choices about what to share and not, because I don't just want to read the book from page to page, but really kind of share the parts that I would highlight in a class. Because if you are interested, you can always go back and read the book yourself. Anyways, it is a struggle, as said, to know about this belonging and when it's time to stay and when it's time to allow yourself to grow and perhaps leave the comfort and the security or the safety from the group. And the other part that also Satya or Truthfulness is talking about is doing it right the first time. And no, I'm not talking about the Toyota model or so, but this thing about being so real, but with the kindness that comes from ahimsa, but being so real and being so truthful that we do it right the first time. That we don't say yes when we actually mean no. And that we don't refuse to give an answer or whatever it might be to a person who asks it from us, even if it might feel or make us feel uncomfortable delivering it. Instead, that we are so honest and real that we do it right the first time. That we sometimes have to say no to other people in order to be truthful, I think is the way to use the word, towards ourselves. Or truthful towards ourselves by saying perhaps no when we really don't want to do it. Even if that means for a short period of time making someone else unhappy with how we handle the situation. As it says here, truth rarely seems to ask the easier choice of us. In the moment-to-moment details of our daily life, truth asks us to pay attention and to act correctly the first time. So, back to the original question. What are we so afraid of? Why do we sometimes choose to tell a lie? What might my life, your life, look like if you were willing to contact truthfulness in every moment? Maybe you hear the sounds from outside, maybe you don't. But think about it. Feel free to leave any kind of comment in the comments below. And I hope to have you tuning in next week again.